Could farming be the future of Cape York in far north Queensland? A few years ago, 2,500 hectares of land on a cattle property were cleared to make way for high-value crops. It prompted outrage from environmentalists. Sorghum, sunflower, chickpeas and rice have now been grown in a trial program. Christy Sexton-McGrath has the story.
An eagle-eye view of the dawn of development in northern Australia. This is Cape York in far north Queensland like you've never seen it before. These are the most northern grown crops in the state.
It's either this or mining, you know. We can't just dig the whole Cape up and pay royalties. Eventually the royalties stop, where agriculture keeps going.
This is Olivevale Station near Laura, but if owner Paul Ryan has his way, farming is its future. He has plans for a 31,000 hectare dry land operation.
It's definitely going to work. Everything we've done so far, you know, with our limited knowledge that we had before we started the project, we just employed consultants and professional farmers to come and help. It's not difficult, like the reliability of the rainfall. It rains every year here, whether you like it or not.
Northern Australia, far north Queensland, there's so much potential. We know we can grow crops. We just need to work out that mix of crops, make sure we're hitting high value commodities and just developing the system.
Grand Northern Australian development dreams are nearly as old as the nation itself, but have gained momentum again recently. In 2015, Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull unveiled his vision for the North, releasing a wide-ranging white paper. It included changes to land use laws in a bid to make the North an economic powerhouse and talk of a Northern Australia food bowl. Cape York has for decades been pastoral land, with huge stations running tens of thousands of cattle across millions of hectares. And that's how it started for Paul Ryan.
We bought it as a cattle breeding operation, and as we owned the property and got to know it better, we've seen the soils very similar to what's in central Queensland, where there's a lot of successful cropping going on, and we could see that there was potential for it here, and we were just waiting for the infrastructure to catch up for the road to get here.
To transform the property, the land needed to be cleared. Mr Ryan was given permission to do that by the LNP Queensland government in 2015. Just days before it lost the state election, Campbell Newman's government approved the clearing of about 31,000 hectares in a decision that was not publicly announced. Land clearing is controversial, and what happened at Olivevale Station ignited passionate debate.
Whose definition of sustainable are you talking about? We know that vegetation loss and habitat clearing is causing an increase in threatened species and loss of habitat, causing a loss of biodiversity worldwide. This is far from sustainable, by anyone's definition.
Only months after the work began, the newly elected state Labor government referred the clearing to the Commonwealth, calling on it to stop the bulldozers.
To have so much land cleared just before an election is unbelievable.
A key consideration in this project should be its impacts on water quality that flows into the Great Barrier Reef Marine Park, which we know is a World Heritage Area. Now, Princess Charlotte Bay, which is the receiving environment for the water that will come from the catchments which Olivevale is within, is of outstanding significance and has all four of the natural values for World Heritage listing.
But Brisbane-based Paul Ryan says he did everything by the book. So far, about 2,500 hectares have been cleared, and there's plans to clear another 2,000 this year.
I personally supervise all clearing operations to make sure we're doing it as per the letter of our development application. We've fully mapped the soils on the property, and we only intend to clear where the soils suit the crop we intend to use.
A trial crop including rice, sorghum, maize, sesame and sunflowers was put in the ground earlier this year. Agronomist Tony Matchett is based on the Atherton tablelands, about 2.5 hours drive away.
It's an environment I often think if it grows in the subcontinent in India in a hot, dry environment, this is the perfect place to replicate that. So the crops we're choosing are often successful crops in India, and sesame, for example, is a perfect example of that.
It's not just sesame. The agronomist says every single crop they've planted is a success. But it's the rice, grown on dry land and reliant only on the far north's wet season and not irrigation, that has the most potential. He believes it could bring in millions of dollars.
When this project is fully developed, there's no reason why you couldn't grow 10,000, 20,000 tonnes up here alone.
The success of the trial crop is attracting plenty of attention, and not just over the boundary fence. Interstate farmers, government representatives, university researchers and industry leaders have all journeyed north to witness the transformation. Industry giant Sunrice helped to fund this trial.
We're up here looking at the rice varieties that are grown up here and the potential for the future production that's up here, and it's really exciting as far as what we've seen here today. There's the soil and water, and that's pretty much what you want, and the good temperatures that you need for growing rice.
But there is one drawback: isolation. Cape York is a remote part of Australia.
One of the major keys that's been holding up development in the north is the distance from the place of production to the mill and then to the market. So, it's certainly things that have got to be worked on and improved.
Paul Ryan believes it won't be a problem, for him at least.
Townsville Port is not that far away from us for export commodities. There's a market for other commodities within the tablelands, which is only 2.5 hours away. And our own operation will use a reasonable amount of the product as well. We've already got that systems in place, all our own transport, experienced staff that have been with us for 10 years plus that understand the logistics.
Some of those staff include traditional owners who have been working as stockmen, farmhands, machinery operators and welders.
We've got an opportunity to support Indigenous employment as well. Not just Indigenous, but it'll flow on from just the farming operations to the transport, all the way down to the guys that provide services on machinery and the like. So, yeah, it will bring jobs to the region.
Every kid's looking for a job.
When we met Arnie Bowen, he was fixing roads. He's from the Indigenous community of Hopevale and has worked for Paul Ryan for more than a decade.
It's good for the Cape. It's definitely good for the Cape. For the people, young people that are leaving school, it'll be a stepping stone before they get into the mainstream workforce, right?
Far North Queensland has one of the highest rates of unemployment in the country, and it's even harder to find a job in remote Cape York communities like nearby Laura. These crops could help change that. But Paul Ryan believes Queensland's vegetation management laws are an impediment to turning cattle country into farmland.
There are other projects trying to get up on Cape York, and they're having issues with getting their approvals through government.
What happened at Olive Vale Station is controversial. This is its first harvest and it looks good. Not that Paul Ryan sees it as vindication.
I'm not too worried about everyone else's opinion.
Is this the future of Cape York?
It's a security. Moving forward, it's a security of Cape York.